Hi guys, good morning. Well, why do I always say good morning when you might not watch this in the morning? Anyway, soon get it together. So I just watched, well, earlier this morning, I watched a message by Michael Todd called Crazy Faith Transformation Church. Go find it on YouTube. I'm not even going to attempt to re-preach his message, but it just stirred me up in a fresh way. Thank you so much, CC, for sharing that message with me. But faith, he was talking about crazy faith, and he's talking about the fact that 5 years ago, they're in a church building now, but 5 years ago God gave him the vision for a particular building that he was gonna acquire. And he wrote down, he printed off a picture of this building. This building already exists, of course. It's a big convent, like I say, it's a convention center, huge building. And so he printed a picture of it, and then he wrote down underneath the picture, he wrote down certain things that God was telling him would be in this building. And of course, it's state of the art, and it's a huge place, and it would have taken a miracle of God for him to be able to acquire, for the church to be able to acquire this building. Long story short, they have acquired the building, and in a year they'll move in once they have fixed it up to the standard that it should be. And just in his go watch it, trust me, you need to watch this particular message. But in his telling of it, it just reminded me of my own faith journey. You know, faith is the currency of the kingdom. This is me holding the phone. Faith is the currency of the kingdom. So just like how in the earth we buy and sell with money, physical money, dollars and cents, in the kingdom our currency is faith. And so God says without faith it is impossible to please him. And over my own journey of faith, walking with the Lord, this God that I cannot see, you know, I believe him to be true because of how my life has changed, because since he came into my life 18 years ago. My faith has wavered. There are certain things that God has told me to do that it don't look like it possible, and you know, like I might start out strong in faith, and then somewhere along the line maybe somebody might say something to me, or something might happen, and it just causes me to lose faith completely. And there are two stories I want to tell, and I have 10 minutes to tell them, and I need to get ready to get out of here to get to work. But the first one was when I was to do my master's. If you remember from a previous video that I did, a prophetic word came that has led me into a totally different direction. I told that story maybe 2-3 videos ago. And that same night that the word came, my pastor came to me and he said, "Yori, you need to go back to school." So I said, okay. So finally now I was now getting into understanding what I would do my master's in. It was now clear to me what I should do my master's in. And so he said, you need to go to school. And then I said, all right, fine. So I was saying, okay, I already had my undergrad degree. And so I said, maybe I just need to do a short course and so get some little, like a short course, maybe 6 months, to get, you know, some little ideas as to what it is that I was to do and to get certified, etc. But I really felt a leading to go on to go to do my master's. So I was looking it up out here in Jamaica, and I was getting the runaround with the information, and then at one point they were telling me that I couldn't go straight with my undergrad degree. I couldn't go straight from my undergrad into a master's program. I'd have to do another undergrad in that particular course to be able to do the master's, and that was not going to happen. And so I said, this is not working out. So I started to look online, and then it was, in my mind I wanted to move somewhere, because I have some family in the States, so I wanted to move somewhere close to my family, so if anything would happen, and I wanted actually to leave. I was ready. I was so on fire. I wanted to leave my job. I was ready to resign my job and to pack up my apartment and to move to the States to get the practical practical on hand. It's not on hand, I want to say. You know what I'm trying to say. The practical experience. I didn't want just a theory. I wanted hands-on, not on hand, though. Hands-on experience. I was ready to quit my job and everything. And I was finding some different stuff, but then I had to do the GRE, and I was afraid to do. I'm no good at math, and math is one of the components of the GRE, so it was very intimidating for me. Anyway, I met with my pastor in a private meeting. I met with him, and the first thing he said to me was, don't even waste your time looking at the program out here. So that was confirmation. And then he mentioned a particular school to me that I should probably look into. And he said, but one of the things that, you know, will indicate to you that this is something that you should do. He said, once you start to look it through and look over like the coursework, etc., you'll start to feel on fire about it. And that's exactly what happens. I was looking through the coursework and I was like, for the different schools, and I was still trying to find a school close to where my family in the States was. Anyway, so the school he had mentioned to me was at the back of my mind. I wasn't thinking about it. They didn't require the GRE at all. There was it wasn't on my radar. Anyway, one morning in praise and worship at church, I was on the worship team that morning, and after praise and worship had finished and before the message was to come, I heard God say, I was still on stage, I heard God say to me that I should apply to this particular school, the same one that my pastor had mentioned to me. He said, apply to the school, and I should have said this before, in order for me to go to the school, I would have had to get a scholarship because enough money for that. So God said to me, he said, apply to this particular school. He said, you're going to get in and you're going to get the aid. This was January, I think January 27 of the year 2016. So when I came down off of the stage, I wrote it down on a piece of paper and I had it in my handbag. And so went home, I applied. So within, I think it maybe took me 2 weeks to finish my application. And so I submitted my application. If I submitted my application like on a Monday, by the Wednesday they had responded to me to say, we're reviewing your application, we'll get back to you shortly. And I want to say like the following week. What I'm trying to say, it wasn't a long time. It was definitely like the next week, if not that same week. I got an email that had my student credentials. So I call my best friend. I say, boo, I got this email from this school and it gave me my student ID and my email address, my student email. I said, maybe they just send that to everybody who applies. And then 5 minutes after, she said, no man, just wait and see, you know. So 5 minutes after I got that email, I got the email that says, congratulations, you've been accepted. And then further down in the email, it says, no, to apply for scholarship money, then you have to do X, Y, and Z. And so I did the X, Y, and Z. And I knew automatically that I would have qualified for one particular scholarship because of my GPA from my undergrad. So I got that scholarship. But then I was waiting for the rest of the money. Anyway, I remember I wanted to move to the States. So I needed to know ASAP. This would have been like, this was now February, I think. So I would need to know by the latest, I think June, because school starts in August. I need to know what they're saying so I can actually start to pack up my stuff, resign my jobs and go, you know, get my student visa and all of that jazz. Anyway, long story short, I never heard from them for months and it was very frustrating for me. And then at one point when I finally heard back from them, they said I can't come. For whatever, I don't even remember all of the reasons now, and so I was devastated. I was very disappointed, and I was like, why did I believe you for this? You know, I've been believing you for this thing, and it didn't happen. And so because of my disappointment, I made some very bad decisions. But then in the midst of my decisions, God was still faithful to me, and I was in a bad place. And I'll tell that story another day. But a week before school was to start, so I couldn't go overseas to go to the school, but I could reapply, or they could change my application for me to be an online student. And so I said, okay, fine, I'll do that. And then they said I could do that for the first semester, and then I could come up, if it worked out, I could come up in the spring. So I said, okay, fine, I'll do that. I'll do my first semester online. And my time running out, so I'm not even gonna get to tell the second story unless I do another video, which I might very well do. So long story short, a week before school started, I got an email to say I had gotten the scholarship, and everything else. So the remainder of the money that I needed, I got through a loan, and God worked it out. So I'm going to come back in a second video to tell the rest of the story, but God is faithful and we just need to believe him. When he says X, believe him.